Hola, my name is Ramon, cosmetic formulator, esthetician, Korean sunscreen fanatic. We're back to do another Korean sunscreen review. Today we're talking about the One Thing Centella Moisturizing Sunscreen. I'm actually a big fan of the One Thing toner, which I'll have pictured up here. That's the only product from the brand I believe I own. But I was really excited when I saw the sunscreen because I just like the toners. I thought the sunscreen would be really, really good. The marketing for the sunscreen was very different from the actual product itself that I got and that I used. Let's get into it. To tell you how I'm going to do this video, I do my 4B mineral sunscreen testing rubric because big shock, this is actually a mineral sunscreen. And those 4 B's are beard, beading, beads, and brown skin friendly, how it plays in facial hair, how it plays with other skin care, how it plays with makeup, and if there's a white cast, and if so, to what degree. I'll have timestamps for every individual portion as well as application down below, so you can feel free to go to whatever part of the video you want to watch. So real quick intro on the product again, this is a Centella Moisturizing Sunscreen. The 3 big elements are right there. It has Centella, it is a moisturizing texture, and it is a sunscreen with an SPF of 50 plus and a PA of 4 plus. This is 50 ml. Right now it's retailing for between $10 to $15, depending on where you get it. Roughly affordable in the whole Korean scheme of things, but it's not the most affordable option, period. Looking at the marketing claims of this, it effectively fends off UV rays while keeping skin soothed and hydrated with this physical sunscreen fitted with SPF 50, PA 4 plus. They say 50 plus on the packaging. And formulated with a high concentration of Centella asiatica extract. This lightweight, non-greasy formula won't leave a white cast. We'll talk about that. And sunscreen is free of 20 harmful ingredients such as parabens and synthetic fragrance. On this channel, we hate this language. There's nothing wrong with those ingredients. We'll get into that later. And it's suitable for sensitive skin. So let's do application footage. I measure my sunscreen using a little scale. I've measured my face. I know how much I should be putting on. If you want a video as to how to measure your face to find out how much sunscreen to wear, up here in the card. But I weigh it out and I apply it to half of my face so you can see that once I've worked it in and let it settle down for at least 5 minutes, how that side compares to the side without sunscreen. You can see this, it's a mineral sunscreen. It goes on white. It takes a minute to work in and I work it in. And I do it in a few thin layers because I find that's easiest to work in mineral sunscreens. You can see I work in that half, let it sit down for 5 minutes. And once it sits down, the cast that was there subsides substantially, but fundamentally, I think it does leave a tone up look. And for reference, I'm a Fenty 290. I'm very in the middle when it comes to skin tone. There is a tone up effect on the sunscreen side. I apply to both sides, let it sit down, and I'm toned up fundamentally. In terms of texture and everything though, I think it is a nice texture. It's moisturizing like it says on the packaging, but I don't find it's greasy at all. Some mineral sunscreens tend to be, in my mind, either very greasy, very emollient, or they're really mattifying and kind of chalky, like they're hard to work in. This is actually a really nice texture on the skin. It looks nice on the skin in terms of like, it's not greasy, it has a nice velvety look to it, and it has a white cast. Getting into my 4 B's and talking about my experience with the product overall. First B is beard, how this plays in facial hair, eyebrows, hairline. As you can see on the footage, and even right now, honestly, there is a cast in my facial hair. There's a cast in my eyebrows. I don't have any product in my eyebrow. And there's the slightest cast in my hairline. I don't have a fresh fade right now. I find that when I have a fresh fade, it's even more noticeable just because it sticks to the stubble a lot better, but I have a white cast. It does stick to facial hair. That is worth noting. This is non-nano zinc, so it's full-size particles, so it is a more substantial cast. Second B, beading, how it pairs with skincare. Is there any weird texture issues? Does it peel? Fundamentally, no. Today, I applied this over a face of hydrators and moisturizer. It went on perfectly fine. It was really smooth. It worked in nicely. No pilling, no texture issues. So I find this goes on and it plays really well with other skincare underneath it. That being said, if you got oily skin, I would use this as is as a moisturizer and sunscreen. If you have dry skin, this pairs nicely over another moisturizer. Beat, how this wears with makeup. I got a semi-full, this is a very natural beat, but it's medium to full coverage right now. I did concealer, foundation, bronzer, all that, and no issues with application. I find that this plays nicely for makeup because it's more moisturizing. It preps the skin well for makeup, but it's not too greasy, so it doesn't affect the overall wear of the makeup throughout the day. But I will note, if I look down, you can see creasing. And when I look up, if I look in a mirror, it's like settling into my under eye creases really easily, very quickly. This beat has not been on for a while today, and I already have very substantial creasing. So it is worth noting, especially if you're like me, I have very substantial forehead creases, my eyelids, everything creases in my eyelids. I'm not gonna ding the sunscreen for that, but my under eyes especially, that's a little bit of an issue for me. I could just go out throughout the day and like tap and like reblend, or I could bake and that might help a little bit, but that is worth noting. This does have a thicker texture on the skin, albeit it's not greasy, worth noting. But when I buff makeup, no pilling, no issues with makeup application, but just the creasing is worth noting. And last B, brown skin friendly. Is there a white cast and to what degree? On me, being my middle of the ground skin tone, there's a tone up. On deeper skin tone, I 1000% contend this will leave a white cast. If you are into a tone up look, this might be for you. And I only say that because I've had a lot of conversations recently, especially around Korean sunscreens, about the cultural use and the cultural want of white casts. And being in Korea, a lot of tone up sunscreens are popular. So I think this falls under that category, but if you don't want a white cast, this is not the sunscreen for you. review. Aside from that, looking at the formulation breakdown and my overall thoughts on the sunscreen itself. In terms of ingredients, again, this is fundamentally a mineral sunscreen. You have zinc oxide and you have titanium dioxide. Those are mineral filters. They're non-nano, so you will have a white cast as a result of that. But because it is a mineral sunscreen, this is going to be more suitable for sensitive skin. On top of that, as they mentioned in the marketing, this does feature Centella asiatica. Now they say this has a very high percentage of Centella asiatica, and they specify 20,000 parts per million. That's not an outrageous amount in my opinion, because this could have been formulated with Centella asiatica water as a primary ingredient or to some other capacity. This is a good amount of Centella, but they advertise it like, oh, this got Centella up the wazoo, and it's a good moderate amount, but it's nothing crazy. Aside from that, no other crazy formulation points. Centella is going to offer you some soothing benefits. You could get some antioxidant potential from that ingredient. This is alcohol and fragrance free, so no fragrance, no essential oil. So that's another bullet point as why this is good for sensitive skin, but surprisingly a very simple formulation. So my final thoughts on this. Fundamentally, is this a good sunscreen? It does what it needs to do. It gives you protection. It has a nice moisturizing. It hits all the bullet points in the name, but this does leave a white cast. It doesn't work well into my facial hair. And with makeup, it does weird creasing things I'm not a big fan of. So this is not something that I would reach for. I would probably give this to a fairer skinned friend, a Caucasian individual. But if you're looking for a sunscreen that is mineral, gives a tone up effect, is a nice moisturizing without being greasy texture, and is soothing, this is potentially a good sunscreen for you. I'd give this like a C-. Overall, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I really expected a lot better from One Thing. Fundamentally, they're a Korean brand. That being said, I was in Korea, didn't see them in a lot of places, which is another video for another day about my experience of shopping for skincare in Korea. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when those videos go live. But the marketing when I first saw it seemed like it was a very moisturizing, a really nice, elegant textured gel sunscreen that I thought was going to be chemical. So that's why I was very shocked at my overall experience of it, which that's my bad. In the marketing, it says it's mineral. It doesn't say so in the name. What was I to know? But that's why I'm disappointed in this. I just anticipated like a more like standard Korean sunscreen that was chemical, not mineral. All things considered, not a horrible experience. This could have been a severe tone up, and that's why I'm giving it a C-. But let me know down below in the comments, have you tried this? What your thoughts are on it? And what other Korean sunscreens are you really interested in right now, or that you're keeping your eyes out on? I have the new Wish Trend sunscreen I think I've ordered. So stay tuned for those reviews as well. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and Fenty related content on my channell. Give the video a thumbs up, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.